course it is. I was born today. I am John Tedesco. I'm originally pretty much from Troy and recently retired in the last year and a half from the City of Troy Police Department as the Chief of Police. My oldest brother, Jim, was a Troy police officer, and I was a young kid at the time. And I think that had a lot of influence on me, but I think I was inclined because I'm a pretty self-disciplined person. It just seemed like an interesting job, and then once I got on, I fell in love with it. Strength has always been very important to me, and I'm a person that I hadn't missed a sick day in the last 18 years of work. I was blessed with great health. That's why this was such a shock to me. I remember distinctly, it was a nice August day in 2014. I was walking the dog, and I noticed my feet were kind of like flopping. I call it like a duck. I seemed not to have a lot of control. Didn't really pay much attention to it. We went on vacation to Jamaica about 3 or 4 months later, and Shar had said to me, "What's the matter with your feet?"
We were on a trip and I noticed that our kids were miles in front of us, and I was a half a mile in front of John, and John was ambling along.
I didn't notice I was having a little bit of difficulty walking, and the flopping was becoming more pronounced, if you will.
And I told him to hurry up, and he said, "I can't." And I said, "Geez, that's odd. This is not John."
So when I got home, I went to my podiatrist, and he started to examine my foot and said, "You've got some issues here with muscle weakness. You need to see a neurologist."
And then he came home from work one day and he said to me, "Well, I fell up the stairs at work today."
The doctor said, I'm going to be blunt with you. You have ALS. I can remember it was like an out-of-body experience.
And hours went by, and he called me, and he could barely speak on the phone. What was going through my head was a dear friend of ours had ALS, and he passed within a year. And our daughter had just recently gotten engaged. I wanted her to have her father for her wedding. After 30 years living as a cop's wife, there's very few things that scare you. And he said, "Well, what do you think?" I said, "I'm scared to death."
And I was more concerned with family. What's going to happen to Shar when I'm gone? What's my daughter going to do? And those things were just constant. When I was first given the diagnosis, my prime concern was my daughter. Coming from a very traditional family where the male is the main role, you want to be that protector. And seeing that slip away was very hard for me to grasp in my own mind. You feel like you're less of a man, I guess is the way to say it. And then, of course, you're trying to hide it at work. And the rumors are circulating about, what's the matter with the chief. And looking back there, it was just a constant state of anxiety that I was existing in. Certainly at that point in the disease, the emotional struggles outlived the physical. I've always considered myself strong, but I will tell you that strength has been redefined since the diagnosis of ALS. And strength to me now has become being able to face your fears and keep going. I've always depended on Shar. She's always been strong for me, but I never knew it would become to this degree or how strong she was. And my love for her has certainly grown proportionally along with that.
I'm a fixer. I fix everything. I'm a fixer for everybody. So I said, well, first off, everything stays the same until it's not. We just have to do things differently.
So she's taken every step to try and accommodate me as to what she feels is coming next. And quite frankly, I think she knows more than most physicians at this point.
It is a humbling disease because you think you have everything under control and something else stops. And here we are, 4.5 years later, and we're doing it.
The daily life of an ALS patient, at least for me, it's a roller coaster ride. Don't be afraid to have a bad day. Just because you have a bad day doesn't mean that tomorrow is not going to be a good day. My daily routine is critically important to me, and maintaining as much independence as I can is paramount. And I'm really enjoying a pretty full life for an ALS patient at this stage of the disease. I mean, I'm really not missing out on a lot. I am adamant about getting to the gym at least 4 days a week, swimming the other days. By going to the gym and realizing that my upper body strength is increasing, I'm getting a lot of solace out of that.
You cannot let somebody go through the darkest hour of their life and fall with them. You need to be there to pick them up and hold them up. That's what marriage, what a partnership is about.
I would tell the person, don't be afraid to admit to your fears. And I certainly think that the ALS, if anything, has made me stronger to realize and face that someday this disease will take its toll and take me, but I'm not going to give it anything I don't have to.